Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday morning real estate marketing show with Ruthie Rock's Ruth Allbrand and Marketing Max. This is show 79. Wow. 79, almost 80, big 80. And then I think we're going to crack the 100 show this year sometime at the end of the year. So this being a bit exciting. So lots of stuff going on in June. The real estate market's kind of picked up a little bit here. And thanks to Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve looking to possibly lower interest rates this year. And in one of the most booming economies we've had in over 2 decades, which is helping, obviously, the real estate community right now. So lots of things to talk about today, Ruth. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. I'm doing so fabulous. And I did my run this morning, and I realized I'm going to have to get out there earlier because it's getting warm fast.
It is getting warm fast. Yeah. But you know what? This is the best summer in Vegas in over 10 years since I've been here. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah, at least we're not rocking and rolling like California.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, Yeah, that's another thing. We were at dinner last night, and the earthquake hit. I guess it's an aftershock. I guess it's what it's called. I'm from California, so I'm kind of familiar with it. But here's how naive Nevadans are. We were in a restaurant. We're actually at Texas de Brazil down in the town center. And when people realized the earthquake was rolling, and it was rolling probably for about 20 seconds, people started cheering. And I was like, you probably want to go under the table or a doorway right about now, because cheering is not going to protect you from falling objects.
Yeah, right.
So but it was pretty hilarious.
Well, years ago in the 90s when the earthquake hit Northridge, I mean, Las Vegas instantly, it was like had 10,000 people move here. It was amazing. I remember that. Yeah, that was quite a market. Yeah, of all the Californians. And now they're still moving here. So because of the high taxes and the flooding, and now even the earthquake is going to probably push some people over the fence to jump into Vegas.
All right. People start joking that, Nevada or Las Vegas could be beachfront property here sometime in the next 100 years. So.
Well, so the stats, let's do that first. So we sold about 3,700 homes in June, and compared with last June, we sold about, we sold about 4,200. So we're down just a little bit, which is not a big deal, right? Sure. Because year over year, we're down about 400 home sales a month. Okay, which that's not that bad.
It's about 10%, given, but we're kind of at the peak end of kind of the rise in real estate right here over the last 11 years. So it makes sense that it's slowing down just a little bit, and it brings some equilibrium to the marketplace.
It always does, and we like that. The iBuyer platforms, their average price was around $290, and the overall in Vegas, the average price is around $318. Still hanging in there. At $318. That hasn't changed in a couple months. And it depends on where everybody gets their statistics. I try to hone in on just the residential and the condos and the high rises. So my numbers are combined a little bit. But anyway, so the market is just bumping along, pretty cool. Got some things happening in Vegas. I think I was telling you.
Lots of things happen in Vegas.
Lots of things.
It's pretty exciting, actually.
Yeah. Google broke ground on their data service center in Henderson. And that's about, what did we say? $25 million tax incentives.
Tax credit, right.
Yeah, to do that.
What they say, like 9,000 in jobs is what they're saying.
50 people. It'll employ.
50? Okay.
Yeah, it said the facility will employ about 50 people making $65,000 a year.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, but still, that's quite something. They acquired a 64-acre site back in January of 2018 for $19 million. And the data center is going to be about 750,000 square feet. Now, that means there's a lot of data and not a lot of employees. So it is a place that they're going to store data, not necessarily.
Right, sure.
A lot of people work there.
Yeah. Well, it's a nice step in the right direction in bringing more diversified industry into Las
Especially
Vegas.
Technology, yeah.
Exactly right, where the productivity and the growth over the next 20 years is probably going to happen. So, hopefully this is one of the first steps
Yes.
to attracting one of these big Fortune 500 technology companies. I don't know. I don't know why Vegas is like this best kept secret about, this is one of the very best places for like disaster recovery centers. There's rumors that the United States Department of Defense and Air Force has an underground system here, where literally this is the, backbone of the data network of America. So I don't know why these U.S. companies aren't moving here a little bit quicker, because other than the earthquake we had yesterday, there's really no natural disasters that happen that affect Vegas that much.
Right. And to your point about technology, blockchain founder Jeff Burns just acquired a huge amount of land, and he acquired 2 banks in Las Vegas, Kirkwood Bank of Nevada. He bought those 2 banks for $25 million, and he's acquired 67,000 acres in northern Nevada, and he is going to build a new kind of business residential community. And it's very curious that it might be all cryptocurrency oriented. Right. I don't know why else he would do that. What do you think?
It's an interesting concept, if he can build a self-sustaining community of businesses and residentials where all they're doing to exchange, something of value for goods and services using cryptocurrencies and the blockchain. It's going to be interesting, and who knows what he has planned, but I'm excited to see what it's all going to be about, and how they can figure out the biggest, I think, roadblock to blockchain right now is it's still hard to convert from a cryptocurrency to cash right now. Because obviously the traditional banking system and the traditional monetary system don't necessarily want cryptocurrency to prevail right now. So that's going to be the challenge that he's going to face. But it'll be interesting if you can build an entire community, because money is right now, since money is not backed up by any type of real value, like it used to be with the gold standard. Really, money is an idea of value that people exchange on. So it could be anything. It could be a piece of paper. It could be cryptocurrency. But we'll see how it comes. It's going to be interesting.
He's going to build a hyper-secure digital storage facility on 2,200 of the acreage, of the 67,000 acres. And it's going to include protection and disaster preparedness in the event of a disaster like an earthquake or something like that. So he's developing a biometric recognition technology city, actually. And I just can't wait to see more and read more about it. I did as much research as I could, and he's not necessarily coming forth with a lot of information yet, but
I bet. Right. It's going to be interesting. I hope one thing I hope he's not doing is building a centralized service system where he controls and has complete control over the servers that do the transactional checks and balances, right? Because if that's the case, then that's against what cryptocurrency is all about, which is the distribution of validation and checks and balances across, thousands of, hundreds of thousands of servers across the world, so that no one person has the ability to manipulate the currency. So hopefully he doesn't fall into the central federal banking system that we currently live right now, where, a big, powerful group of individuals and families control one source of the monetary system. So we'll see.
Yeah. So that's interesting. An interesting note. And then I don't know. I still read the Review Journal newspaper. I like reading the paper. Right. And there's been several different editors over the years for business, and now we have a fellow by the name of Eli Siegel, and he's very much interested in real estate, which I like. And I don't always agree with his opinions, but I do like that he is very much into real estate here. And he went to Austin, Texas, I guess in June. There was a convention there, and he met up with the CEO of OfferPad, which, and that's the Arizona startup who buys homes and sells them quickly. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting when I was reading the article that OfferPad was actually founded in 2015, which I didn't realize. And it's only active in about a dozen cities, including Phoenix, Dallas, Atlanta, Orlando, Florida. And they've raised about $900 million from investors. And of course, they're in Vegas. And the interesting thing that Eli, he asked him some questions, and he said, maybe we could start with the basics about our OfferPad activity in Vegas. What's your monthly purchase and sales volume? That was Eli's question to the founder. And so Brian said, well, we're doing less than 100 a month buying and selling. And he said it's one of our smallest markets. And one of the reasons is at the end of last year, it got super, super hot and went crazy into some crazy town, he said, quoting him. And then he said, then some of the numbers, with some of the numbers people were willing to pay for the homes. And then it got very, it went downhill from there, he said. So they pulled back a little bit in Vegas. And I'm not sure what to read into that.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting just because now what we have, Zillow's here, right? With the instant offers, we have Open Door here, and then what's the other one?
Well, there's Knock. Knock is big,
Knock.
And Purple Bricks isn't making it, so they're kind of going by the wayside. Yeah, but it's interesting. What he said is that the biggest strength that Vegas has is that people love it and they love to move here. And I'm not so sure if that's good or bad for them because, and I always preach branding to when I teach that agents have to brand themselves and get out there. And we have such a target market, the California market. And you can target it so easy, and you can get leads so easily. And with Facebook, you can convert them so easily. And hopefully, with our training center that Aaron, John, and I are going to open here soon, we can get agents more skilled at doing video and more skilled at doing audio and more skilled at branding. And I think that because we can target the audience so well here, I think the iBuyer platforms are going to be held down about 10% of the market. I don't think they're going to creep up much higher.
Yeah, because they don't have the flexibility of traditional real estate agents, right? If you really take a look at why, what he said about not, the market being a little crazy or hard to compete in here, is they're also competing against, in the price range that they're looking to buy these homes, they're competing with the flippers as well. The people who are trying to wholesale these homes and reaching out, they have their own marketing systems that are targeting those places. So they're on top of obviously competing against real estate agents, competing against the other instant offer places, but all these, investors and flippers who are doing in that same price point, right? Because they're all targeting this 200 to, under 400,000 range, because that's the sweet spot within the real estate market that, can, for the majority of people, can afford still, first time home buyers. And just from a salary range in this town, the affordability is still right around that 200 between 400. Anything over that, then, we're talking about people upgrading their homes who have equities and stuff like that. So I think they're very narrow in their reach if we really think about it. And the competition is, in a hot real estate market, all these flippers who have cash, and they're still trying to do it, and they're trying to find homes that are in that, sweet spot for them. Yeah. And that's probably what he may be talking about.
Well, yeah. One of the things that he said was that people think that Open Door and Zillow and OfferPad and Knock make 10 to 15%, and they don't. At the end of the day, they're only netting their investors 2%. So
Wow.
that's interesting. But Zillow said that last year. They said, if we can net $5,000 a home, we're happy.
Right.
And then on the panel that they had with Brad Inman, I think in May, when Knock and OfferPad, Open Door got together, they all said the same thing, that they're all after getting the highest price back to the consumer, and that's how they're going to compete against the agents. Well, that's all well and good, but our job is to brand ourselves, get people to know, like, and trust us, and let us help them and go on the offense with the iBuyer programs.
Right.
Like we talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
Exactly right. And the other advantage of real estate is you guys don't have a fixed margin that you got to work towards, right? I mean, with all these big companies, they got to run quantity, and they know that at a certain price they cannot budge because there's no profitability in it. And some of them are obviously have bought into the market, and with a low cost leader or whatever, and offered maybe over prices for some of those people just to try to get more transactional in a footprint here. And that's something that traditional real estate agents don't necessarily need to do.
Yeah.
And so there's still opportunity out there. That is what our point is. Definitely a lot more opportunity. And Ruth, I believe I just lost you because there you go.
I don't know what. I told you my internet was funky this morning. Probably the dogs were chewing on something.
So that comes us to our next point, like what are you doing to compete against these people, right? How are you putting yourself out there so that people choose you versus an OfferPad or an Open Door or a Zillow Instant Offer? So
I think, when I do my training, one of the hardest things for me to get people to understand is, if you look at Uber, I mean, how many years ago, 5 years ago, who would have thought of putting their 14-year-old daughter into a car, right?
Totally.
And now, aside from a few bad things that have happened, for the most part, Uber is very convenient and saves people time. Sure. And I mean, look at online dating. I mean, before that was like, I remember back in the 90s, it's like, oh my God, you're not on online dating, are you? And now everybody is. So we have to realize that there's some major chess moves coming in the future that agents have to take. They have to get a grip that our traditional real estate is changed. It's not changing. It has changed.
It has changed.
It has changed. And the internet is the middleman. And if we don't get on it, we're going to be out of business. And of course, and I don't mean we as a whole. I mean those agents who don't embrace social media and brand.
Sure. And it's changing so fast now that, like, just getting on the internet or on social media is not even good enough anymore. I mean, there's contextualization and building value that you have to think about here. The days of you going online and saying, hi, I'm a real estate agent here in Las Vegas, right? No. Come use me. I mean, that's over. That's already over.
Well, I think I was talking to you earlier about the brain, and when you dissect the brain, it's a sensory organ, and so we're sensitive to people's faces, we're sensitive to people's voices, right. And so if people start hearing us and or seeing us, if we're into video, then they will determine whether they know, like, or trust us. And if they see us consistently or hear us consistently, they will think of us when it's time for them to make a purchase or sell their home. And that's what branding is all about. And when you understand and believe that the brain is attracted to that, and again, to your point about being contextual, being interesting, you have to give valuable information. You don't, what I tell people, don't even tell people you're in real estate. Just start talking. It won't take them long to figure out that's what you do. But make them see that you're valuable at what you do.
Exactly.
And so there's a lot of different strategies.
I think about how marketing works, right? In the heyday, in the early part of 2000, late 1990s, the internet was used to do transactional type of commerce, right? So you could put up a product and offer up there, and if people were looking for it and wanted it, they would buy it, right? And one of the other things I talk about is, remember the days when people didn't want to put their credit cards online, right? Like that was a major hurdle that the internet, marketing commerce had to overcome. And now we don't even blink at an eye in it. We have brands that create the security for us. But what's changing in every marketing cycle changes. In the very beginning, it becomes very easy. It's very transactional to make money. But once everybody is on here, like they are now, right? Everybody's trying to do transactional business now. And how you stand out and how you build a long tail legacy with your own personal brand is now you got to create content that stays in front of people, that keeps people interested, right? We've talked about the 5 E's, right? 3 of them are educating, entertaining, and becoming an expert, right? So you got to include those elements to maintain and capture and then keep people's attention. And it's not just, hey, I'm a real estate agent, use me, right?
That doesn't work.
That doesn't work. You can do that once out of every maybe 20 videos, but the other 19 videos or 19 pieces of content have to offer some type of value or information that the end consumer is looking for and engaged in. So, but it's definitely changing here.
Well, and one of the things that is going on around us is voice. And I was talking to you earlier that an agent could go and video a Lennar home and just show their audience all of the sound devices that Lennar is building into their homes. Mm-hmm. There is an Echo or a Google Home in every room. You can talk to the device and ask it to change the temperature. So people are getting more when you start doing things like that to the home, and people start getting used to talking to a device like a thermostat. That's going to be so easy then to say, "Oh, Alexa, what's the temperature today? Alexa, I think I need to put on my shopping list that I need milk." People are going to start using these voice devices. And I think I was telling you that Facebook is developing an API. An API is something that connects with another program. It's like a conduit. Right. So this is really cool, everybody, that you can Facebook will read your emails to you. And you can say delete or reply all by voice. And right. I mean, that's really cool. And the main thing, when it reads the first thing it's going to read to you is who it's from and the subject line. So, if the subject line says, here's the latest stats on, Lennar building a new subdivision in Summerlin or something like that, something that somebody might be interested in, so your subject line has to be interesting or ask a question, right. Hey, do you live in California? Did you hear about how low the taxes are in Las Vegas? Right. If that's the subject line, then, and you're sending it out to people in California, they're more likely to listen to it. To open and listen to it, right. Yeah, and you won't have to read it. So right. Our whole world is moving towards saving time everywhere. Yeah, absolutely. It's all around everywhere. Us. And it's like anything else. You don't want to be the last person on the earth to start a podcast.
Yeah, I think podcast is one element to it. And obviously the stuff that you're talking about is building Alexa skills and Google Home skills and stuff like that, so that you can program these devices to, basically respond to the end consumer contextually what you can offer them, right? And value. And so it's not, most people are not going to ask Alexa, find me a real estate agent in town. It's not going to be that question. No. It's going to be like, Alexa, what are the home prices in my area within 5 miles from here? Alexa, who's selling their home on my block? Right. I mean, those are the types of questions that you got to think about. And the same way we're talking about how to build content right now in video and what's articles, is you got to be in the mind of your consumer, and the headline needs to capture the space in which the consumer is already sitting in for them to start to engage. And so that's what what your class is teaching in the Social Academy, and how to use social media. And that's a key element that will never go away regardless of the technology, right? Right. You got to understand who you're talking to and what they're thinking.
Well, right now, just to the point of voice, Google searches are 50% voice right now. That's incredible.
Wow, that is incredible.
Yes. And of course, people say, well, that's the millennials. And yes,
Yeah.
you know, the millennials are now 35 years old. They were 25 years old 10 years ago when we started calling them millennials, but now those millennials are 35 years old. And so that's, you know, they spend money and they're searching, they're using the technology. And so I don't think there's a better time than to take the last half of this year and start, either we'll train you or train yourself, you know, how to do a podcast, how to brand yourself. First of all, you've got to brand yourself properly, because when you come out of the gate, you know, first impressions are still important. So your first podcast or when you start doing your videos, they need to have the right context, and they need to be interesting and entertaining, educating. They need to be exclusive and emotional. Those are the 5 E's of branding.
There we go.
So we're going to teach people how to do that effectively, and we're going to have all the equipment at 8400 West Sahara Business Center, which will be social media and real estate center. You know, we've teamed up with Aaron Taylor, the real estate guy.
The real estate guy.
I know. We love the real estate guy.
I wish we had his jingle right on push a button right now.
I know. He has done an excellent job of branding. And
I want to make a comment real quick here. The more I think about it, and because of what's happening with the millennials, I mean, they're the largest demographic group since the baby boomers, right? So they're larger than the baby boomer group. And if you really recall what happened when the baby boomers turned 35 and 40, their most productive, you know, years of their life was 1975 to 1980. And 2 decades followed. If some would argue almost 4 decades followed, right, where we had tremendous amounts of prosperity. So we have a small window right now as marketers, as business owners, to build a brand right now, going into what we think is going to be another recession here coming in the next 2-3 years. It's not going to be as big as 2008. No one's saying that. But there's an opportunity here for people who are taking this moment in time very seriously about building a business and a brand, because one, competition is going to die down here when we hit a recession, which is coming. Right? But 2, right after the next recession, the millennials will hit that 40 age range, where we could go into the next 2 decades where economic prosperity is going to be unmatched since the 80s. Yes. Right. And for the people who embrace what we're talking about here, embrace, you know, building a brand, using social media, creating videos, building context, adding value, you're going to win so big, right?
It's such an opportunity.
And it's going to be this window, I think this 2-3 year window right now, right? Gary Vee says Agent 2021, and he's almost spot on. Right? Here's the time, right? Here's the time where this needs to happen for you and your business, or else you're going to be left behind, and you're going to be scrambling to, you know, get into whatever's next, and it might be too late, you know, and we're going to probably see a big shift. But it's exciting times. Now's the time to, you know, get on the jet, as Ruth,
get off the train and on the plane.
Right, get off the plane get off the train and on the plane. And now's the time to do it.
Now's the time. Yeah, and I'm so excited that John and I are just starting a new chapter in our life, and of optimism and positivity and helping people. And with the help of Aaron being our partner, it's just so exciting to me. I can hardly contain myself. I just can't wait to do the first training. We're going to have Pinky on July 22nd. She's going to do her deep dive into video at our training center. Pinky will be here to speak at Inman. The Inman Connect is here in Vegas that week.
In a month, right? Inman News is
July 22nd. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So Pinky will be here that morning, probably. I don't know yet what her schedule is, but we like her to start around 10 o'clock. And she does an hour of deep dive into video. So that will be cool. And good morning, Paul Peterson. He just chimed in. Always good to hear you. Anyway, so Pinky will be here. I don't know that will be our first training, but it'll at least be the second one. I think Kane and I might have something else planned for Instagram, perhaps. I don't know. We're going to do something.
Okay, fantastic.
We actually did the iBuyer offense presentation over at Tycor last month to a small group of people. Mm-hmm. And that might be our first one because it's short and sweet. And I think it's information that people will be interested in finding out sooner than later.
I just had an idea for here's a tactical idea for people who have stayed on this podcast or this show for this long is, every neighborhood has a Facebook group, right? Like we're part of the Fort Apaches, like group in the neighborhood. And I was thinking like if you did an open house and your seller is actually, or the seller home, you should ask them to see if they would like to be interviewed, right? And instead of door knocking your neighborhood, right, which could take a whole morning or whatever, and now in July at 100-degree weather is not that pleasant. But maybe ask them if you can, depending on the rules of their Facebook group, do an interview just to interview them and then their home, right? To talk about and asking them why they're moving and where they're moving, just contextual storytelling, right? Yes. Is the whole point. So, I mean, this is just a different way of looking at, doing an open house, doing getting awareness that you're throwing an open house to the community, but doing it in a way that's interesting, that's never been done before, it's never seen before, right? And most sellers are cool with it because if you tell them the purpose of why you're doing this, it just sells their home quicker. They're more than doing that, and everybody likes to have a little 5-second piece of fame every once in a while.
And a big question, you said something about why are you selling your home? What I think is the question is, why did you buy this home?
That too. Right.
Because you want somebody else to buy that home, and you can tell them why you love the home.
Exactly. And then no one can express the love of their own home more than the homeowner. Right. I don't care how good of a real estate agent you are. The homeowner is going to be able to sell their home way better because there's an emotional attachment. There's some intrinsic value that as a real estate agent, you will never be able to feel that a homeowner feels, and to be able to coach them to get that out from them. That's the clear winner there. So anyway, just a tactical idea for listeners that have stayed with us this long.
So wrapping it up today, the market's just bumping along, doing well. Our prices aren't going up, which is always good. Mm-hmm. People still moving here from California. They may be moving faster now.
Right? Let's get out of here before we fall off into the sea.
There's a lot of things, a lot of good things going on in Vegas. One of the things I just real quick, my brain, I just thought there's a new hotel opening up on the Strip, and they just broke ground. And it's a non-gaming hotel, and I think it is the first non-gaming hotel on the Strip.
On the Strip, wow.
Anyway, lots of things going on in our city, and things that create jobs. Like you said, technology is coming here more and more. We've got Switch, now we've got Google. Right. We've got Amazon all around us with their warehouses and things like that. So Las Vegas, is slowly becoming quite the place, and people love it. Just like the iBuyer platforms say, one thing about Vegas is people love to move to Vegas. Right. And I think, so we talked about that. We talked about branding, which is so important for everybody. And I'm so jazzed about opening up 8400 West Sahara as a social media and real estate center. It's not going to be a branded building. The RE/MAX sign will be the last thing to go. It's still out there, but it'll be coming down in the next month. And sadly, I'm sad to not be a part of RE/MAX anymore, but I'm so happy to, starting another chapter in my life and John's life and Aaron Taylor, and it's all going to be good. So that's about the show for today.
Yes. Join us for show 80 next week. So hit another big number, big round number. So good stuff. Go out there, build your brand, create some value for the community and your end consumer, so that they keep you top of mind for their real estate needs. So
leave us a comment so we can get some Facebook juice. Let us know how you liked it. Ask us any questions. I always get back to my comments. Right. So
have a great week, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. We had Steve Terry with us, Leslie Reese. We had Margarita Prado and Paul Peterson this morning. Aaron Taylor was on for a little bit. So those are the people who at least talk to us a little bit. So
yeah, we
love you
appreciate
guys.
that. Right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.